Hey, Ronnie Jr.
But you guys have done good. I want to continue back on Xizmo one more time. We just talked about a 9-person aerial unit, travels to Nicaragua over this hot lava, all this game time decisions being made. The guy who's doing the tightrope potentially could fall. This is a lot
Yeah.
going on. That's when your company, Xizmo Media, is put to the test. But
Yeah.
sometimes your jobs are really, really fun. And I want to go to a really fun one where there was, I would say, less stress, which was Mumford and Sons album
Ah,
cover promo. And I believe the first song, there was some like a lyric video.
the lyric video of the first single.
Yeah, this was fantastic. Well, first you tell me your impression, and I'm gonna tell you a couple things that because I was also at the shoot, but I wasn't working for Xizmo. But talk about it.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I think it was that one was a very fun shoot. One because it just on a personal level, you and I we were just talking as friends
Yeah,
of what we had going on, and
we basically both have huge work schedules, and then it really becomes like I'm working because I was working at the time. I was working this particular gig. I was going to be the second AD on this like lyric video album cover. So I'm
yeah.
kind of chatting with Pablo, and then Pablo's also working on that same Monday.
Yeah, it was one of those things when we were talking about each other's like next week because it was a
Schedule.
Monday, I think. It
Yeah,
was a
yes,
Monday
yeah.
shoot. And we're like, "Oh, what do you have planned for this week?" And I'm like, "Oh, well, I'm doing this shoot uh but the thing that made it funny was because the production kept the whole thing under wraps so much that you knew you were going to this location
Yes.
to do a job for a rock band, but you didn't know who the rock band was.
Yep,
And
that's what I
then
was
I
told.
got hired exactly the same. I got hired to go do a job in this location for a rock band, but I was never disclosed who the rock band. They kept it so on the wraps that we both figured
Yeah.
out who the band was once we showed up on set. But as we were talking, it was like, oh yeah, Monday I'm shooting in this location, and you were like, oh yeah, I'm shooting in that location, and then we sort of like realized we got booked for the same gig separately for from by
Yes.
separate by different people.
Because
And
it was band X, and I was like telling Pablo, I'm like, oh, it will be in Long Island. That's where I'm going to be doing this thing. And you're like, oh, I got another project. It's also band X.
yeah,
So that to me was one of those kind of, as Pablo was saying earlier in the conversation, like it's the people you work with is really, really good. And that was really exciting to me because I'd worked with this production before many times, and I don't know how they booked you. I don't know how that works, right? But when I got there, I had knew the coordinator and all these people from who always work together, and I kind of kept it under wraps. I was like, I'm not gonna make a big deal about it, but it is freaking cool for me. And then later, like midday, I believe one of the coordinators was like, "Wait, Ronnie, you know the aerial unit?" I'm like, "Do I know them? We were having drinks at the bar yesterday."
yeah,
And it was one and you'll talk logistics of the fun or
yeah,
whatever. I think your unit was just 3 people at the time, but
yeah.
it was for me. I was working as the second AD, and it was so fun. It was in Long Island. It was along like I think the southern part of like the Fire Island area, possibly. I'm not
Hmm.
really sure, but it wasn't Fun Fire Island. It was just the beach. But it was so fun because you not only knew the band once you learned it was Mumford and Sons, that was exciting. And when you work with such a big group like that, there's just such great positive energy, and then everyone connected in certain ways. So
Yeah,
that to me was when I see that lyric video, and I know that your work is on it and my work is on it, but we also didn't get the job together. That's like some real cool, special stuff when you're working in production and staying
yeah,
busy in New York City. Yeah.
yeah. And I think there was I don't know how special it was for you, but I think it was an added bonus because I've been known to I don't know because you were more I'm a gun for hire, like we're doing the aerials and that's about it.
Mhm.
But you as a second AD, you were more in cahoots with the powers that be, the people that made the decisions and all that stuff. So you probably had more inside information that I probably wasn't pertain to. But there was that one added bonus to the shoot where, remember, there was a photographer,
Yeah, Lewis. Yeah,
completely outside from what we were shooting, that was shooting just
BGS.
pictures,
Yeah.
like portraits more than anything. It was portraits of a lot of the crew and the van and the people that were there on
Well, there
on
was
the set.
there was background. I remember because I was one of the people
Yeah,
dealing
there's
with
a
it.
lot of extras
But
of
yeah, there was
background talent.
yeah, there's background talent. I always call them background talent because I've been an extra, and I'm like, no, background talents. Um, so there's so much background, and there's the overall visual that they're going to do for the album artwork. But lo and
Yeah.
behold, we didn't know what else was going on.
Exactly. We didn't know that was happening, or we didn't know that was the intention for it.
Yeah. So
You know?
basically, what happens is I thought they would just do this, and we're referring to Mumford and Sons and the album artwork that they have, where we thought it would be background would be the people, because it was a beach setting and it was people. You didn't really see them; it was very nondescriptive, but you saw like a unification of people. It's really, really
Yeah.
done beautifully.
It was a great concept, for sure.
But then Lewis, who was another photographer who was doing BTS, because they had the photographer who was doing the actual album artwork. They had BTS, who was Lewis. They had you guys, Ariel. It was really maximizing the experience. Literally everyone had fun. It was one of the greatest shoots. Some technical stuff at the beach and getting certain equipment onto the beach was a little tough, but nonetheless it was fun. And as Pablo was saying, we get the word that everyone is to take a photo. So I'm thinking, okay, I'm still working the job,
Yeah.
and I'm not going to get to go take a photo because background, that's what they're going to do. Background finishes, they're like, oh, no. Everyone can take a photo.
Everybody.
And I
Yeah.
don't know if it was your team or if it was me from who I was, my particular group. One of either us came to each other and said, oh, you know that everyone's taking a photo. And so your team took a photo, I took a photo, and lo and behold, when the project actually got released, I remember it clear as day because we all drove out to right near Kent Avenue in Brooklyn and Williamsburg.
Yeah.
We went to the record store there, and we picked up, and I still have the vinyl of
The vinyl. Yeah. I
of
still
the,
have mine. Yeah.
and we're basically in it.
Yeah. That was
So not only did we work the project, but we you'll see my face. It's the same.
And I tell you one thing. It was a very fun surprise because it's one of those things is that you work in when you work on a movie, for the most part there's always a credit section at the end of the movie and you can see your name on it.
Yeah.
But when you work on these smaller projects like music videos or
little
commercials,
ad agency type stuff,
or ad agency stuff like 30-second spots or that sort of thing, like you never get credited on. So you never get to sort of like have that smidget of pride of like, oh look, that's my name on it, like talent usually do. And so in this particular project, it was very it was a happy surprise that they did that, and then being able to buy the vinyl and then see the artwork and see your picture in the final product. And funny story, literally about, I want to say maybe about a month and a half to 2 months ago, and not to date this thing, but for people that might see it, that we, from the time of this recording, we did this at least over a year plus ago.
Mm-hmm.
Right, this is
close to 2 years. 2 years ago. Huh?
And I got a tag into an Instagram story from a friend of mine who I worked with in the past at NBC, who is a very music junkie, who went in a shopping spree of vinyls and bought the Mumford and Sons vinyl.
Oh, right.
Mind you, this is a year plus after the release of the vinyl.
Okay.
And then he posted on Instagram as an Instagram story. It's like, hey, I went to do a buy and run of music. I
Mhm.
bought this record, and who do I find in this fucking record? One of my best, one of my favorite drone operators. And then he
Yep.
was like looking at my picture on that thing, like on the artwork of the vinyl. About a year later, plus of
Yeah.
release.
Same.
That was
Same.
it was a fun surprise.
As it was a fun surprise for us. It was a great shoot itself. Great, like sort of the opposite of some of the other stuff we talked about, where like things aren't coming together. This was like peaceful. The beach was beautiful. Everyone got along, and then those little icings on the cake that I'm working my role and you're working your role, and then
Yeah.
that's enough a really cool thing. But then it's like, oh, everyone's getting photographed, and then we just after that you go about your regular day, you don't think nothing of it. But then when the album comes out, I
Yeah.
remember, because my brother loves Mumford and Sons, so when he bought the CD or the whatever you buy these days at Amazon. I sound like I'm 90. He bought the music, and he's like, oh, I saw you, Ronnie. Like, so
Yeah.
that was an exciting thing. And obviously we didn't touch much on like the drone aspect of it or the aerial unit aspect of it, but it just goes to show like some really fun things. Not every shoot's gonna be fun, but like that one
Yeah.
was
But it's like, I
really,
think
really
that's like every job, like,
fun.
in this industry, you're gonna do, I mean, you're in this industry it's a job.
Yeah.
There is jobs, there is projects that are gonna be very exciting, that you're gonna take a particular pride about being part of them.
Yeah.
But also there are projects that you just do for money. That's
Do
just,
you?
it is what it is. That's just life. And like, I've done plenty of those. I've done plenty of
Yeah,
projects
yeah.
that,
But it's nice to
we
reflect.
just
And
doing it up. But yeah, it's nice to reflect on the projects that have an impact on you as a individual, and it had an impact on you professionally.